Akali is a very interesting one. That's definitely caught my eye, but let's see how it goes. We hop onto the Rift for game number 2. Gen G fans raising their voices here. Normally T1 absolutely dominate every single fan chant that we have here at LoL Park, but Gen G fans certainly coming out in force here today. And of course, generally, you have a one side that's for one team, another side for the other team, and then you've also got a middle ground where you can sort of be a fan of anyone. We do have some of the thoughts of both Valdez and Chronicler coming in here. As Chronicler says that it's pretty favored for Gen G this time around. And just saying that T1's bot side is pretty flippy. If it does snowball, T1 will look like absolute geniuses. If it doesn't, things could definitely be dangerous.
And that's where the priority was put in the draft, and a lot of this early game is definitely going to be about that. I completely agree with him. I also lean towards Gen G's draft about the same. He said 65-35. I'm kind of feeling more like 60-40, which for me is a pretty heavy lean. I usually don't lean that hard unless it's, you know, some sort of Fred Brion situation or something like that. But let's see how this one pans out, because the X factor is going to be Chovy's Akali, right? And
yeah,
it will be very feast or famine this game, I think. So that's the flippy part of Gen G's. I think it's not quite as flippy as the bottom side, as Chronicler put it, but
yeah,
it's going to have to be a performance.
No, I agree. And I think that, yeah, Gen G doesn't necessarily rely on Chovy as much in this draft. However, T1 will require Gumayusi and Keria to be in pretty good stead moving into the mid game if they want to get any control.
Yeah, and once again we see Peanut on, you know, doing the same sort of start and pathing as Owner in the previous game, so there's no sort of really strong pressure here for Owner once he gets to this part of the clear. Has that level 3 gank attempt with the prio, then he goes over and tries to steal camps. Like, he's not going to have that opportunity. As Keria is so good at this pick.
Yep, nice little handshake there though, as Keria is denied. Decent exchange of damage there as Gumayusi goes aggressive, while Keria picks up a lot of the aggro of the opposition and the turret.
Yeah, like when we think about Keria's historic picks across his time, even as back on the DRX days, like this Pyke pick is one that has been pretty historically great for him and one that he's very known for. Almost like when people think about Beryl and the Pantheon era.
Yeah.
It's very similar, where we've seen Keria pick this against top-tier opponents. We've seen him pick it against bottom opponents. Some of us who were like, well, he's just disrespecting him with the Pyke. We've seen him pick it at international events. We saw it at MSI. It's a pick he's extremely comfortable on, and I do think we need to highlight that this is, yeah, a heavy commitment and a big risk, but it comes at Keria's comfort.
Yeah, and he's also made some of his greatest plays on this Pyke as well. We actually saw it this season. One of my favorites of all time that we had to slow down on the analyst desk was his play topside, where he got the, you know, beautiful E-flash stun just to deny a kill on one of his teammates and pick up a kill himself. It was really beautifully done. As we're checking in here on the top side, as yeah, GP in the early game certainly doing very, very well. We saw Zeus do this last time around as well, and then the game kind of got away from the top lane a little bit.
Gnar has been so strong on this patch, and just generally this whole season across all durability. And I think part of it is because the builds of Gnar have changed quite a bit. Trinity Force and then Randuin's makes him be able to do a whole lot of stuff. Like, he has all the stats from Trinity Force, but then also is very difficult to kill and becomes this really amazing CC bot where he just kind of goes, oh, if you focus me, we win the fight. If you don't focus me and I actually get my Gnar bar, I actually wall up everybody and we win the fight as a result. So some ways Gnar has been not about his laning. And I think with Zeus piloting it, remember this is kind of his debut pick as well.
This was his big one.
Even if he ends up losing the early game here, his functionality will not be crushing Gangplank and lane.
Well, there's Keria looking for Lehends here. Decent little handshake, but Owner's going to come on through. That's first blood for T1. This is precisely what they needed, and it was beautifully executed.
So much burst damage.
Oh, that's a point-blank bone skewer, and Ruler's going to have to respect it. Throws out the flash.
So double flash down here for Gen G. Lehends loses his life here. The kill does go over to the Viego and not the Draven, but that's okay. He'll be looking to cash in big time later on this game anyways.
Yep.
And this is what this lane wants to do. It wants to be oppressive. And Basically, only Keria is our consistent pike here in the LCK to have these maximum range skewers. Flashes to try to get the double stun there onto Ruler as well is unsuccessful, but they still get his flash regardless a moment later when they commit further, as you'll see here. Point blank range, walks through the minion there, and forces Ruler's flash. So really nicely done here from Keria on the bottom side. And Peanut expected this, and he was coming down just a few seconds too late.
Wasn't able to get there. His Wukong win rate is 100%. Only 5 games, though. So we'll see whether this is going to be his first loss, judging by how the early game has gone thus far. T1 ticking the boxes that are required of them. Own a 75% win rate, but far more sample size. Yeah. Very impressive one here. Of course, Oner hasn't done a whole lot of losing throughout his career thus far.
He really hasn't. In fact, that might be one of his worst win rates. But he's one of his most highly played champions. That with and the Lee Sin, of course, both meta champions. His Xin Zhao is very good too. And we had that kind of trinity of Gore Drinker champions that were being played in the LCK.
Yep.
The Wukong for Peanut, of course, a season exclusive because didn't play it before this at all. And Gen G only lost 1 game. He was not playing it that time, so
does mean that it's likely to be, pretty successful pick. Chovy locks down the majority of that CS under the turret. Is only behind just a little bit on the Akali.
T1 got that early pick. They've taken a small CS lead down here as the wave crashes. A lot of that's going to be, of course, short up here for Ruler, so not the end of the world. Didn't end up dying there.
Yep.
But T1 now need to snowball this into early Drake and Herald priority as well. They need to keep that advantage rolling, and they need to play a game that's very similar, of course, to the one we just saw from Gen G, where you're constantly trying to push your advantages, because just 1 kill alone isn't going to do it for you. It's a pretty massive lead they have early Dirk and Vampiric here for Gumas. Once again, Keria roams.
Yeah, and Doran just going to sidestep absolutely everything. I guess that's how you do it. Just be a pirate and walk around in circles, guys. It's that easy.
Yeah, it does give a lot of control to the bottom side. As soon as Keria shows, they commit. Doran, scared they might actually come for a second pass here, just drops this cannon barrage down and is going to walk away. Knows how much respect Doran is showing while they don't know where Keria is. Chovy, on the other hand, will spot him in the mid lane.
Yep, and so that's going to be pinged out. Doran should be able to make it back to pick up some of this farm.
But when you do this play as Keria and don't find success yet, you got Doran's cannon barrage, nice, but it does give a lot of control to the bottom side as Ruler and Lehens will push through. So there is a trade-off here.
Yep. Faker as well was roaming down towards that bottom side to potentially answer, as Keria is just going to come on over, hold this minion wave for Faker. Does so very nicely as, Keria going to have to get out of there. His ex-teammate Chovy is lying in wait, threatening.
One of the best things you can do is early game Akali. I mean, she's only got her Merc Treads, is just always be unseen every time you have a chance when there's no minions threatening your turret, you don't have any CS to grab. Just be somewhere where they don't know where you are and you can find kills, you can threaten flashes, you know, you can do a lot. Chovy doing that with the control wards that are around the bottom side of the map for him.
Yeah, well, Lehens is going to be bone skewered back. And there's the flash forward from Gumayusi. He really wants this as the arrow is going to connect, but Lehens not going to be able to bail himself out. The kill does go over to Keria. So Gumayusi not going to be able to cash in just this time. However, he doesn't go down.
Yeah, he doesn't go down, and no bailout. And this means T1, with this really nice play, once again, set up from Keria, will be able to grab the Rift Herald on the other side of the map. There's a lot of control vision, and Chovy's putting some pressure on in the mid lane, so they're not going to be able to turn this into Drake on top of it. Gen G should rush over to at least cross-map that. They want to fight for this. They know Oner's alone.
Yeah.
I think this is pretty optimistic, though.
To say the least, and Peanut is going to recognize that. Eye is going to be delivered over to Oner. And now Chovy in this mid lane does need to be a little bit careful. Keria back here once again. Lehens also available. But Lehens, you know, like, if this T1 squad gets too far ahead, I mean, he's just food for this Pyke over and over again.
He certainly is. And Keria is now going to start to potentially add all that extra cut gold as well from his passive into T1's pockets. By the way, because Gen G rotated towards a potential contest that they definitely could not do, unfortunately, given the control and the rotation also from T1, they lost control of the Drake. They lost control of their vision on the bottom side river, and now T1 can probably turn this lead into a 2-objective start.
Yeah. Just a matter of waiting a little while. Zeus going to come over and think about taking an extra plate, but decides he wants the reset instead. Can understand that. Keria moves back towards his bottom side just to check in on Guma to see how he's been doing. And as it turns out, he's been doing absolutely fine.
Lots of pings here from Chovy saying he knows there's vision, he knows Keria is nearby, he knows that they're going to be starting up this Drake soon. And I don't know if there's much that Peanut can really do about this. He has path now down towards the Drake, but T1 have full control. Owner's here. He has a Rift Herald he can drop to even further guarantee the prio. With this back timing, if they're seen, really easy to actually just drop Herald here and guarantee plates.
That's exactly what it looks like they're trying to do. 4 members here on the bottom side. Keria moving on forward. And he just wants to clear out any bit of vision that they have.
I like that control word to kind of deny any vision that they were backing there, to further delay potentially this take, as Peanut has wrapped around Chovy's with him.
Yeah, he's going to get stunned. Keria moves over as well. Chovy back to the mid lane. Faker heading over. Has Claw at the ready, of course, as Chovy's going to get spotted. Keria has to use the dash as T1 move towards the river, and it looks like the Drake is at least going to be started here for T1.
T1 just not really overcommitting anywhere, just being very careful about guaranteeing that vision. Not even starting Drake until they know exactly where Chovy is. There's the arrow angle from Ruler they have to respect.
Yeah.
I like how T1 are playing this measured lead really well, too, because they have certain scaling aspects, too. It's not just a better scaling Gen G comp.
Well, there's another Bone Skewer as Cannon Barrage comes down. Doran's trying to keep himself alive. Ulti goes wide there, and Doran is going to live.
For now.
Yep, for now. As, okay, Barrel comes through. Doran read that potential play there from Keria, who is going to make his way out of here.
But still, this is a win for Keria and T1 because you're able to force a flash out of Doran and force him out of lane. He does have teleport, at least thankfully for him. So if he chooses to, we'll be able to come straight back to lane, and that's what he's going to do here. They might even be able to set up a follow-up gank here with Peanut if Zeus is greedy, but he's not. He backs away.
Well, Chovy looking for Faker here. 5-point strike, doing a fair bit of damage. As, yeah, okay, Owner in position, and Chovy not going to follow that backflip. It's measured play on both sides of the rift here, Wolf. No one willing to overstep when they don't have the information.
Yeah. It's been Keria's proactivity, though, that has really led to the advantageous position that T1 find themselves in. And, you know, Chronicle called it a bit flippy, right? And I think that's certainly true in terms of what it means if it works and what it means if it doesn't work. Like, that part is definitely kind of coin flippy in terms of the results. But the execution has been so crisp. It has been so dominant.
Well, Chovy, he's almost spotted there. That was a dangerous place to back, but it's not actually where he's going to do said backing. As all right, it is Rift Herald thrown down in this mid lane. Lehends possibly in trouble, but Chovy just wants to stop Shelly from putting her skull into the turret. She isn't charging just yet, as the arrow will connect here onto the pike, and immediately they just pick up the kill. And again, the Rift Herald will be denied.
Absolutely brilliant play, and they set this up for a long time. This was not just Lehends trying to bait them in just because he wanted to maybe set something up for Chovy. He knew Renata was nearby, and they also had Peanut there for Cyclone follow-up. If anybody gets caught there, they are probably going down. In fact, if T1 had more members get caught there, I think there might have actually been more than just a single kill and the Herald denied. And Chovy picks up his first kill.
Yeah, Peanut wrapping around looking for Zeus here as Doran's just fighting him. Peanut will get in here as Zeus looks like he should be able to make it out. Flash not available, however. They're not going to be able to move as fast as the Mini Gnar.
Yep, he will get out of there, but this is a lot of control now going over to Doran for the first time in this lane. And as a result, Zeus is even going to stick around to try to defend this turret. No Cannon Barrage for Doran, and he knows that.
Yep. And Doran, I mean, Trial by Fire Parley is definitely a dangerous amount of damage, but Owner should be able to grab this first Drake, a very late one, however.
Oh man, this is so well baited from T1.
Yeah, Mega Gnar comes in from Zeus as well, as he doesn't quite find the boulder toss. The Gnar is going to connect though, and there is the death from below. And that will be the third kill for T1.
And this time extra gold going over to Zeus too because of it, and because of all the resources committed top side here to try to make that mid play into a top play success. It's going to be a lot of plates going over now to Faker in the bottom lane. Looks like they'll give that last hit to Guma. So 183 gold extra into his pocket. And T1 looked shaky there for a second with that really nice setup play with Lehends, but can Chovy make something of this? Don't think so.
It's going pretty aggressive, but not going to find too much. I don't think that cannon belonged to Faker, unfortunately.
This was the
see this play once again.
set play between Wukong, Renata, and Ashe. Going for
맞아,
the hit there onto Pike.
나이스 지렸다.
Nice. Got him.
야나
And
뭐냐?
박주영 지렸다.
I don't know whose name that is actually.
Was that Prey's name? I hope it was Prey's name.
I don't know, actually. Could be. GSM will tell us for sure.
Prey is the guy.
So-
Unless he was just saying Ruler's name, which is fine too.
This was just a really nice bait set up for Zeus. He just comes up to the top side of the map again and tries to defend the turret, and Doran's like, I think I can punish this, but Kerry was one step ahead.
Yep.
T1 should be able to get this Herald very easily here. Just none of the things that Gen.G need right now in order to set up a fight are really truly online. It is an Art Harvester build for Chovy here this time around, but that's not a spike that's going to win you these fights unless you have a better setup, and T1's map control is great.
Well, Doran going to have to get on those happy feet yet again, and he does so very nicely. Peanut's going to get that flash over. Another arrow connects, and it's just magnetic to this Pike today. Zeus will be able to make his way out, but once again, Gen.G answer beautifully.
Chovy's side laning on the bottom side of the map for free here, unanswered because of Faker's rotation up. Faker wanted to try to turn this even further, but is missing, of course. Guma still pressuring mid lane, but Cassandra losing out on some precious farm here as Chovy's going to take a 30 CS lead by just being on the other side of the map. Second Herald will crash into this mid turret, but Chovy himself is making a big dent on the bottom side. Finally, Faker rotates over to answer it, but this turret is already dead.
Yeah, this is actually fantastic for T1. They need to keep control of the map with the composition that they have, because they so far have just been able to get more, right?
Yeah.
And put on more pressure.
It's not a good sign when your only success is punishing a roaming Pike with several ultimates committed. Like, yeah, it's great for Gen.G that they're able to pick up that gold, but it shows that they're behind on the play.
Yeah, and it's looked cool. However, it hasn't actually resulted in success as far as the follow-up from Gen.G, because T1 have had everything pushed. They've had all of the control, and so yes, you know, cross-map arrows, they're really cool. However, they're not going to win the game by themselves.
So Chovy bought a Hextech alternator and then undid it to buy a needlessly large rod instead. So it looks like he's building the
Still going for Shadow Flame.
Shadow Flame second, yeah, and I like it. I think it's very strong into the composition that T1 is running, as Peanut is trying to set up for this with his Cyclone just coming back up here in a second.
Yeah, Doran doesn't have Cannon Barrage, but may not necessarily need it, as there is a control ward over that side. Let's see. Zeus pops out here. Nice barrel will connect. But there's another control ward.
Arrow.
Another arrow! My goodness. Ruler is just, he's really doing his best Prey cosplay today.
Yeah, he really is, as much as he can. That strong bad arrowed has definitely been the story of T1 here when those are coming through. As I mean, look, Gen.G are not that far behind. It's 1,000 gold only, but it's the vision control that makes Chovy's playmaking so limited here on this Akali. Speaking of, he might actually just be caught.
Yeah, this is a dangerous time. Stem, yeah. Okay.
He's all right.
They're going to be totally okay.
But you can see he can't make any play here, and the blue buff is just going to be ripped away.
Well, Doran almost has ulti. There's Trial by Fire. Parlay comes in. Cannon Barrage goes down, and Zeus will answer the attempted solo kill from Doran. Both top laners now off the map, though.
Zeus has teleport. This is a huge win for him. This is definitely more valuable for T1.
Yeah.
And now T1 are just going to straight up push mid. Chovy's got that lane that he's going to deal with bottom side here. He could try to flank, but look at the positioning here of Owner. It's like we're watching game one flipped.
Well, another bone skewer going to connect here as Ruler has to flash. Frozen Tomb comes in, and Gumayusi picks it up with the Whirling Death. And that is the cash-in. Finally, he had so many stacks, and look at the grin on the man's face. T1 looking brilliant now.
And that's going to be a Drake that comes with
2.4K now in the lead. Oh my God.
1,000 gold he picked up from that. 1,115 actually, to really let it sink in.
Yeah.
That was a really nice ultimate from him. And they just pushed mid. They sieged up a turret that they will be able to take on their next pass over because it's so incredibly low, down to less than a fifth health there. This is looking like an almost insurmountable lead here now. Obviously, a lot of it on one player, but it's the player you want it to be on. And this is what starts this off here. The barrel chain is denied the first time, the second time gets the slow. And Doran actually commits the flasher to get the trial by fire. And Zeus just trades back, gets a hyper proc. And ult is committed. He does not have teleport, so Not going to be the trade you want, as
나이스.
that didn't look like it hit, but the game
달다.
says it did.
나
Yeah.
1,000원 벌었다,
That was
1,000원.
very nicely done.
He said, I just got 1,000 gold.
Yes, he did. 1.1, to be exact. As Ruler gets the bad news that there are a lot of enemies in this area. This means that this tower will go down. Gumayusi very comfortably collects it. He has his Eclipse now complete. I think he may have just gone back and put that together all in one go. He now has so many items. You can see he's a full completed item ahead of what Ruler has right now, and that's basically what Ruler did on the other side of this matchup, right?
Yeah.
In game number 1.
He uses all of the damage that he has with Eclipse and the Essence Reaver so incredibly well, and now he's going to have a rapid fire cannon behind it, so he can just put that damage in from even safer of a distance, so Chovy won't be able to threaten him as well. They're trying to come over here and defend this turret here and set up for another Ashe play. Look at the positioning here of Ruler. He has an angle with the Renata ult, but T1 are wise to this time around.
Well, Gumayusi also in the area, and he is very frightening. There's a lot of damage. He's going to move back towards the mid lane.
I love that
Wave
T1 are
crash.
like, you know what, it's not worth actually losing our tempo lead for this turret. We're just going to walk away. I know Ashe could arrow us. We know the angle. We see him in the mid lane. We're just not going to play around that. We don't know where Renata is.
Yeah, don't give them the ability to answer. Value it, and then just wait for this minion wave to come back, and Faker just comfortably picks that one up. Luden's Echo completed. This Lissandra will be doing big damages as another arrow is going to fly through just to stop it back here onto Faker.
Can they turn this into something? There's a Peanut nearby.
The stun definitely does last a long time as Chovy is going to get ulted. He does have the perfect execution as Peanut not quite in the area.
Just one of the hardest champions.
Oh no, Ruler position.
Uh-oh.
As Keria has found him, the point-blank Bone Skewer is going to come through there as the stun doesn't land. And now Lehends is just going to get obliterated. So much damage, has to flash to get himself out of the way. Volley comes through just to try and slow them down. Peanut, can you get out of here? He gets Nard back. He'll have another Cyclone, but I don't think it's going to save him. His flash is now on cooldown, and he is way on the wrong side of this. And Gumayusi picks up yet another kill.
So 2-0-2 now on this Gumayusi pick. The signature Draven, as Faker is able to pick up his Shadow Flame with the extra gold he got there top side. And the commitment to gank Faker there was a half commitment, but it's just so difficult to pull that off against Alessandra of all champions. You know, she's just going to get out no matter what. This is a very T1 Baron
That
start.
is a very T1 Baron. As Doran picks up his Collector, does now have to put his Cannon Barrage on cooldown. And so T1 not exactly wasting anything. You may as well just see whether you can win the game off the previous play.
So yeah, speaking of previous play here, Keria is so far forward here and is just fishing for Ruler because look at the wave state. Ruler has to be this far up if he wants to actually successfully get these minions. And Keria's not alone. He knows Zeus can come over. And Lehends just gets two-shot basically. It barely survives. And then Gen.G have the audacity to try to turn here with this Wukong against the full Narbar. Not going to happen. Renata ult also just going to, deter T1's chase, I guess you could say, but it's not going to save Peanut.
Yeah, stops them from killing more than Peanut, I guess, but shows a little bit of a disconnect on the Gen.G side, as now Rapid Fire Cannon and the makings of an Infinity Edge have been put together. Keria, another Bone Skewer. Peanut not going to worry a Trickster yet, as barrels are being put down. Not actually baited out, and T1 just going to collapse back to where this Drake is going to be spawning. 35 seconds on that one, and their soul point is on the line here.
I think Gen.G just are not set up to fight this, unfortunately for them. You know, look at the Ashe items versus Guma. 2 items down. Like, it didn't show the item spikes this time on the graphic. That might come up later, but with that cash in, it's just not even fair.
Yeah, since we did the last comparison, Ruler has purchased a dagger, and Gumayusi has purchased a pickaxe, a crit cloak, and finished his rapid fire cannon.
Yeah, so it's looking very bad for Gen.G's chances of even grouping for Drake.
I would hazard to agree.
And unlike, remember last game, T1 had a comp that could turn so well and punish so well what Gen.G were running if they made even one mistake. T1 aren't making mistakes, and yes, Gen.G have the Ashe Arrow and they have Cyclone, and yes, a Renata ult, but the coordination that's required and the time that's required to force a punish is a lot harder, I think, to pull off than what T1 had defensively in that game that we just watched, where Gen.G's lead was even bigger. But T1 doesn't even have to show the same amount of respect because they can also pick. They can also, of course, catch people with Bone Spears and the big ultimate damage that Gumayusi is going to be putting out with the items he has. So they can just be oppressive and then also have their AD carry chunking people down. Like, Gumayusi's job is the same as Chovy's in game 1, where he's like, yeah, anyone near me, they're dead. You've got to stay away from the AD carry. It's usually the AD carry who has to worry. I don't know if that cleanse that Guma's holding is ever going to be used for the rest of this game. I don't think he's scared.
He can use it aggressively to avoid any potential CC that might come in afterwards. As of course, pick and cleanse into Ashe is necessary, but he will never need to worry about it. He just walk towards the arrows and soak them for his teammates. As, yep, T1 in a phenomenal position right now. Still wanting to close this one out. 5,000 gold. The lead is very large at 25.5 minutes, though. Peanut is afforded at least a little bit of space here to come over and clear out some vision. But yeah, it's looking real dire here for Gen G. And we just don't know necessarily what the true answers are going to be as this game goes on, right? Like, it needs to be little picks, little ways back in here for Gen G to try and build up some sort of way back. And you can see, you know, these barrels are starting to crit for a bunch of damage and stuff like that. It's definitely good news.
And the Shadow Flame done for Chovy. Obviously, it took him a while to put that one together, but he got a lot of extra side laning done. He has a stopwatch. The problem is that we're at a state in this game where Gumayusi is level 14, by the way. If Chovy tries to assassinate the Draven just like looks at him and kills him, actually. Doesn't even care. And Chovy could play it very perfectly and use the Shroud well, but generally speaking, he's never going to be alone anyways. So what's Chovy's opportunities here? That's one of the scary parts of this lethality Draven as an assassin. Even if it's like a LeBlanc that Chovy was playing here, his chances of just killing this Draven are so rough, because now he's got an IE as well.
He still has no shoes.
He doesn't.
No shoes, just swords. And a scythe and a gun, I guess. Oh my goodness.
And a little totem.
Man.
A little totem he can use to keep himself safe.
Yeah, there we go. To spot his enemies, his next victim.
If he gets barreled by a barrel chain from Doran, you know, that's on T1, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, Frozen Tomb comes down as Chovy is looking for the Draven. He goes golden, and Gumayusi is going to get taken down. They didn't have an answer for that as Faker gets perfectly executed by the Akali.
Well,
teleports to come in, and Gen G are looking for a Baron.
Can't be that far up when the rest of Gen G is there, and they can chain CC, and probably should have pressed the cleanse this time.
Oh, Carrier, that was a very nice alley-oop to yourself, my friend. Lovely stuff. That should stop Gen G from being able to very comfortably take this, but Carrier is still in a whole host of trouble.
Yeah, Zeus had Narbar, so if he was able to kite towards him, could have been a different story. Teleport now from Chovy.
Yeah, this is another one. He picks up his Zhonya's Hourglass as well, as there was a big shutdown onto Gumayusi, and it was Chovy that picked up the kill.
He's still down for 10. Gen G should be able to do this. Zeus is trying to hold on to this Narbar as long as possible here to look for and engage a turn. There's just not enough damage here. It's a Viego and an R.
I mean, it's still going to be a potential 50-50 if Oner can get himself in here. Doran is trying to play bodyguard, as there's the Whirling Death. Does a whole lot of work here, as Ruler's going to have to flash away. Zeus now taking a bunch of damage. Omer getting... Oh my god, Faker! He just gets in the backline and smites it away. Chovy now trying to punish him, but I don't think it's going to be enough, as T1 picking up the Baron is huge in this moment. Gumayusi now wanting to flash on over and look for Chovy, who once again goes golden. But trying to get out is he now, as good handshake there from Lehends. He still has flash available.
So T1 do get the Baron here with that fantastic steal. The flank from Faker was amazing. And also, the ultimate for Gumayusi. He wasn't up in time to be in the fight physically, but he was there. As we're going to watch the end of this one more time. The real problem here... Oh, we're going back to the very beginning. In fact, I saw that the Draven was here, and I was like, wait, where are we? But this is the early part of this where he's picked because he's so far forward, and Chovy actually has an amazing play here. But in this take, they have Faker obviously looking for the flank. Look at the ultimate. You can see it from the base. Faker teleports in the last possible second here. Whirling Dervish hits. Peanut super low here. Then the Gnar follow-up. And then Faker over the wall. Ruler's looking for the arrow here on the Zeus. But bam! Fighting it away.
480.
No, this is so necessary, because otherwise Gen G win this fight and get so much extra gold.
Well, speaking of fights, there's another one that's happening here. Stand aside comes through. Whirling Death, massive damage as, oh my goodness, Doran not going to be surviving now, but does get bailed out for a moment. Peanut is going to try and go golden, but it does not work. Cannon Barrage looks like it's working for T1. Instead, as Chovy's just going to get absolutely eliminated, and that was a wipe of Gen G. T1 will now march down the mid lane and look to bring us to that game 3 that we all deserve.
We all deserve it, Atlas, and we're gonna get it as heroics from T1, from Gumuzi and Faker, turn that Baron fight, that take that looked so free for Gen G. It was not, and also the Gnar from Zeus that comes in on top of it all. Otherwise, T1 lose too much gold there, lose the Baron, and the game completely turns on its head, but it does not. Faker shuts the door with that smite, and we are going to that game 3. A team effort here across the board, but the bottom duo investment we saw for Guma on the Draven, Carius Pyke, this pays off so much. It's cashed out at 1,100 gold, and this Draven is just